Namaste and Sat Nam Yogis. I'm Tracy and this is Yoga Union, where people unite in a quest for wellness of body, mind, and spirit. Whether you're a yoga virgin or a seasoned practitioner, Tracy's Yoga Union has a place for your mat. So let's roll those mats out and get started. Today I have a little of this and a little of that prepared for you in our following Vinyasa sequence. We'll start standing, allowing yourself to feel firmly rooted from all four corners of your feet, lifting up through the hips, straightening out the spine, relaxing the shoulders down. Relax that jawline. Relax your cheeks. Gently close your eyes. Focusing inward. Possibly setting an intention for our practice. I'm going to set my intention on surrender. Surrendering to a quiet mind. Some nice movement, surrendering to a focus on the breath. With some deep inhales, filling up that belly, followed by some long exhales, pulling that belly button back to the spine, always breathing through that nose. Warming up with some inhales, arms up overhead. Exhaling those arms back down to your sides. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling those arms back down to your sides. Inhaling, arms up overhead. This time, exhale, bring those palms through to heart center. Begin to hinge and fold forward. And then allow your body to hang like a rag doll. You can add some weight to that by grabbing onto opposite shoulders. Maybe swaying from side to side. Possibly nodding that head yes and no. Just a little warm up here. Inhaling those arms back up and overhead. And exhaling those palms through to heart center. Coming to the front of the mat. Continuing that warm up with an inhale of the arms. Exhaling through. We'll step one foot back and then the other for our downward dog. We're just going to move from down dog to up dog. So the up dog is the inhale, down dog is the exhale. Inhale, up dog. Exhale down. And really the only parts of the body that are touching the mat are the palms and the toes. Staying in our down dog, we'll inhale that right leg up. Exhale it through. Bending that knee for a little pigeon. We're going to surrender into that pigeon by folding forward. You could rest your head on folded arms. Just warming up here. Tucking those back toes to release. Down dog. Inhale into that up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale that left leg up. Exhale it through for our pigeon on this side. And we'll surrender that pigeon by folding forward. Maybe resting your head on those folded arms. Gently opening up that left hip now. Tucking those back toes to release. Here's our down dog. Inhale into that up dog. Down dog. We'll inhale that right leg again. Exhale, step it through for a low lunge. Lifting those arms straight up, fingertips wide, pointing towards the ceiling or the sky. Allowing those shoulders to relax down. Frame that front foot. Tuck those back toes. Here's our down dog. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down. Inhale that left leg up. Exhale to step it through for our lunge on this side. Sinking into that back hip. Framing that front foot. Curling those back toes. Here's our down dog. Inhale into that up dog. Down dog. Come down to all fours. Continue to warm things up here. Work on our core. First with some cat-cow. We'll inhale to lift that chin and drop the belly. Exhale as we round that back and tuck the chin. Inhales our lift. Exhales we round. Again, bringing that thought of surrender. Surrender to the movement, to the breath, to that quiet mind. Coming back to a neutral spine. We'll do a nice prayer twist. So we'll just step that right foot forward. Not in a lunge here. Just lining up that bent knee and our ankle. Inhaling those arms up and overhead. Exhaling them to our heart center. And then moving into our prayer twist. So keeping those palms as close to the heart center as possible. Turning our head to look over that top shoulder. Opening up the front of the body. Inhaling to center. Coming back for a few cat-cows. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Synchronizing our movement and our breath together. Neutral spine. Stepping that left foot forward, lining up the knee and the ankle there. Prayer twist on this side. Inhaling those arms up. Exhaling those palms to heart center. And now we'll twist over this bent knee. Again, keeping those palms as close to your heart center as possible. Opening up the body to the long side of the mat. Inhaling back to center. And let's come back for a few more cat-cows. Inhale, lift. Exhale to round. Inhale or lift. Exhale as we round and tuck. Coming back to neutral there. We'll come on to our seat for a little bit of boat, seated boat pose. Again here, working our core a bit. So our knees will be bent. Soles of the feet flat on the mat. We can bring our arms behind our legs here. And we'll move through a few different positions of the boat. So as we inhale, we'll lift those legs, but keep those knees bent. We're still holding on behind the legs, underneath the knees there. Straightening out that spine. Feet are flexed. Keeping the boat, we can let go and increase the intensity just a bit. And add a little bit more by straightening out those legs. And as we exhale, let's use some control to come down to that mat and move right into our happy baby. So bend those knees, trying to bring them as close to your armpits as possible. Grabbing onto the outer edges of the feet to pull down there. So we're opening up the hips and really pressing the back into the floor. Again, surrendering to the quiet mind, the breath, the movement. Doing a little rock and roll on that spine. Come on up for some of our standing postures. And we'll flow these postures one from the other. First, enjoying the mountain. Coming back to where we started our practice. And then we'll move to the top of the mat. And start these standing sequences with the chair pose. So inhaling those arms up and overhead. Exhale, we begin to bend those knees and sit back in that chair. You can check your alignment by looking down to see if at least those big toes are visible. And from our chair, we're going to step that right foot back for our warrior one. Warrior one, that front knee is bent. Edge of that back foot in line with the short edge of the mat. Front of the body facing that front bent knee. We're going to open up to warrior two. My back's going to be to you. So you can see the alignment. We're coming up from our hips. Our feet and knees haven't changed position. And now we've turned to look out over the fingertips above that bent knee. Warrior two. And now we extend into our side angle. So legs keep the same position. We're resting on our bent elbow, on that bent knee. Fingertips are pointing up to where the ceiling and the wall come together, making a nice straight line from there to the edge of that back foot. And then unbending that knee, we move into our triangle pose. Now that arm is coming straight up, fingertips reaching towards the sky. Eyes can be turned to look there if that's good for your neck. To release, we look down at those toes. Inhale up. Exhale as we release those arms. And come back to the front of the mat. Great standing flow. Taking a few breaths here in our mountain. Coming back to that intention of surrender. Surrendering to a mind that's quiet and focused on the breath. A body that's moving in and out of postures to help our flexibility, to build strength. Inhaling, arms up and overhead. Exhale as we sit back into our chair pose again. Checking alignment by looking down to see if those big toes are visible. We step the left foot back now, and here's our warrior one. Front knee bent. Front of the body facing that bent knee. Arrow straight arms. Keeping feet and legs the same, we open up the front of the body for our warrior two. And gaze over the fingertips of that bent knee arm. Moving into that extended side angle. Making that nice straight line from those outstretched fingertips to the edge of that back foot. Keeping that arm tight with the ear. And just a simple unbending of that knee. Finding a good place for that bottom hand. And stretching out through the fingertips of that top arm. And we have our triangle pose. Releasing by looking down at those toes. Inhaling up. Exhaling, coming back to the front of that mat. Comparing stillness to movement. Surrendering to the need for both. Now we'll balance a bit. So we'll combine tree and dancer pose, and then our other balances will stand alone. So finding that mountain first, and then we begin to place more awareness into that right leg. or left leg. Let's start on the left. More awareness into that left leg as we bend that right knee out to the side. Inhaling those arms up and overhead into our tree. Leaving that left arm extended. Bringing that right arm behind us. Grabbing on to that right foot for our dancer pose. Trying to keep the legs, the knees close together. And using an exhale, we'll release that down. And prepare for that tree and dancer combo on the other side. Finding that mountain first. And then bringing that awareness more to the right leg as we bend that left knee out to the side. And inhale those arms up and overhead for our tree. Right arm will stay lifted. Sweep that left behind. Find that left foot. And here's our dancer pose. Keeping those knees close together in dancer. And an exhale releases it all down. Coming back to that mountain, finding that stability here and surrendering to the strength, that steadfastness of a mountain before we move into our next balance. And I'll use a prompt for our next balance. We'll be doing half moon. So I'm going to sit that block towards the front of my mat. Step back about 3/4 of the way. And we'll inhale and step that right foot closer to that block. We begin to hinge forward. Our bottom hand finding the block as our back leg lifts. Toes are flexed. Top arm is lifted. Fingertips towards the sky. Front of the body open to the long side of the mat. Exhale, release that down. Maybe shake things out a little bit. And prepare for that half moon balance on the other side. Block towards the front. Feet about 3/4 of the way back. Stepping that left foot closer to the block. Hinging forward. Bottom hand finding the block. Back leg lifting. Top arm. Fingertips reaching for the sky. Front of the body opening to the long edge of the mat. Half moon. Exhale. Release that down. Shake it out a little bit. And I'll be using our block again, or a book. You don't have to buy any fancy props, right? A nice hardbound book will be perfect to extend arms and legs for any yoga position. And so we'll put that block to the left side for eagle pose. So as we inhale and then exhale, we'll bend those knees a bit. We're going to cross that right leg over the left, and those toes find the block. So now I'm using that to extend the reach of my leg. Bring those arms out in front. Right arm under the left, bending those elbows. Bringing the palms together at the face. We can sink into that seat a bit more. Lift up those elbows for eagle pose. And releasing and unwinding. Moving that block over to the other side. Exhaling, we bend those knees a bit. Cross that left over the right, finding that block. Arms out in front. Left arm under the right, bending those elbows. Bringing the palms together in front of the face. Bending those knees a bit more and lifting up through those shoulders. Eagle pose. And inhaling, we unwind and release that eagle. Great work. So we can move that prop out of the way right now. And we'll do one more balance. We'll do plank to side plank. So it's a balance and it's also a good strength builder. So we'll come to the front of the mat. Inhale those arms up and overhead. Exhale through. Inhale halfway up. Exhale down. Just a little sun salutation. Step one foot back and then the other. So here's our plank. So from plank we'll move to side plank. So we're going to turn so that we're resting on the side of that right foot. You sit the left leg on top and lift that top arm, fingertips pointing towards the sky. Trying to lift up through those hips, balancing on that bottom arm. Exhale, release that down. We'll walk hands and feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale those arms up and overhead. Exhale those palms to your heart center. I'm going to move to the other side or front of the mat so that my front will be to you. Preparing for our plank and side plank. Inhaling first. Exhaling those palms to heart center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Step one foot back and then the other. Here's our plank. Going to roll over onto the side of that left foot. Stack the right on top. Lift that top arm. Fingertips stretching for the sky. Keeping those hips lifted. Balancing on that bottom arm. Side plank. Exhale that down. Walk hands and feet together. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale. And come back to that mountain. Scan that body from the soles of your feet to the top of your head, your crown. And back from the crown to the soles of the feet. Surrendering to a mind that's quiet. That focuses on that breath. And that is gaining flexibility and strength through our movement. And move down to our seat. Any way you like. Finding that cross-legged seated pose. Let's see, let's have that right leg in front to begin. We'll do some twisting. So right leg in front, palms rested gently there on those knees. Straightening up through those hips to have a nice conduit through the spine for the breath to move freely, the energy to move freely and easily. And on an exhale, we'll twist to the left. Finishing off that twist by looking over that back shoulder. Imagine when you inhale, that spine straightens. As you exhale, you move a little further into that twist. Inhaling back to center. We'll uncross those legs. Bring the soles of our feet together, pretty close to the groin. Interlace those fingers underneath the toes. And again, straighten out that spine for butterfly. Straighten out that chin, make it level. Use each exhale to allow the wings of those butterflies to open wider. Also being mindful of your knees. Going to the edge, but not to the pain. Releasing that butterfly. Crossing that left leg in front. Palms on our knees as we inhale here. And exhale and twist to the other side. Finishing that twist off by looking over that back shoulder. The inhale straightens the spine. The exhale moves you further into that twist. Inhaling back to center. Bringing the soles of the feet together again. A little further from the groin this time for diamond pose. We'll weave those arms underneath the legs here, grabbing on or interlacing our fingers under the feet, and then hinging, surrendering. At the end, allowing the back to round and the head to drop into diamond pose. to release. We'll straighten out those legs, keeping the toes flexed for staff pose. Arms are at your sides, but they're not holding you up. It's the core area here that's doing the work. Moving that into a forward fold, inhaling those arms up. Exhale, leading with the chest. And once you reach the bottom of that fold, allow that head to drop, the back to round. Keeping those feet engaged, toes flexed, backs of the leg completely on the mat. Stretching out through those fingertips and inhaling to release. Exhaling down. We'll bend that right knee in. You can always use that prop as some support underneath that knee. Inhaling the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, remember we're leading with the chest, not the chin. And when you reach the bottom of that fold, you can allow the back to round, the head to drop. Surrender. Release is for stretching out through those fingertips. Inhaling with a straight back. Exhaling those arms down. And then reversing, bending that left knee in, using that block, right? Support can protect. The support can extend. Inhaling those arms up. Exhale, remember to lead with your chest, not your chin. And then finishing the forward fold by dropping the head, rounding the back, keeping that foot flexed and engaged, aware that it's there, but surrendering to the fold. Stretch out through those fingertips, inhaling with a flat back, exhaling those arms down. We'll release, come to a wide-legged seat. Again, keeping those toes flexed. Lots of awareness there in the feet. We don't want them dropping in, pointing down. Keep them flexed. Try and keep the backs of the legs connected to that floor, to that mat. Now for our forward fold here in this wide-legged stance, maybe you want to try that block. And here we'll walk those hands out. And here, find your edge, right? If you're feeling a good stretch right here, then surrender to this point. You can walk it a little further down. Maybe rest your forehead on that block. But notice how my toes are still flexed, the legs are engaged. Inhale to walk those hands in, a little bit gentler on the move in and move out in the wide-legged stance. Bringing those legs to center, shaking them out a bit. We'll move on to our bellies for a few backward bending postures. So coming onto our belly, we'll prepare first for Cobra. So we want the tops of our feet flat on the mat. Our elbows are bent, palms right at our sides here. Forehead is going to rest on the mat. We inhale and begin to lift head, neck, and shoulders into the cobra. Seeing if you can bring those elbows further back to the waistline. If you feel like you have a crease in the back of the neck, move that chin. And as we exhale, it's a slow release down, touching chin, nose, forehead, and then turning the head to one side and letting everything go. Surrendering everything to the mat, allowing it to completely support you. Coming back to center for locust. Tops of the feet are flat again. Arms are at your sides instead of the elbow bent. And our chin is going to rest on the mat. We're going to begin by pointing out through both of those toes. Bringing tension to the legs. Then inhaling and lifting the legs into the locust. We're still resting on the hips. The legs are lifted, the arms are on the mat. Front of the body, the chin. Exhale, a nice slow release down. Turn your head the opposite way and surrender. Surrender to the mat. And we'll come back to the center for one more backward bending posture for the boat pose. Tops of the feet on the mat, arms down by your sides, forehead resting again. This time on our inhale, we begin to lift head, neck, shoulders, arms, and legs. Breathing in the boat. Using an exhale to release that down. Pushing back into child's pose to release that back. Almost imagining that you're lengthening out that spine. Walk those fingertips forward a bit. Create some space in the spine. And from here, we'll move on to our backs. Couple more postures in this little of this, a little of that routine. Coming on to our backs. We'll keep those knees bent. Bring the heels as close to the bottom as you can. Arms are nice and tied in at your sides. We're preparing here for bridge pose. And bridge, maybe just a little tuck of that chin, but always keep that neck still. Don't turn that head from side to side in the bridge. And on an inhale, we begin to lift the low hips, mid, back. And usually that bridge finishes somewhere there at the bottom of the shoulder blades. You can walk those arms underneath the bridge for a little more lift. We want to keep the feet and knees as close together as possible, and then really push up through the soles of the feet. Enjoying some deep inhales and long exhales here in the bridge. And to release, we exhale down, almost coming down one vertebra at a time. And once those hips are down, we'll hug those knees into the chest. And then we're going to push up through the soles of the feet. Rest those arms at our sides for legs up. So imagine here that you're trying to push the ceiling up with the soles of your feet. You're trying to, if there were a wall behind your legs, keep your legs flat against that wall. Surrendering here now to the change in the flow of things. Imagining that in your mind's eye. And from here, we'll prepare for fish. So kind of sway over to one side and then the other to get your arms underneath your back. We're going to use a lot of control here to very slowly release those legs down to the mat, pushing out through the soles of the feet. Once those legs are down, we bend those elbows. Rest the crown of the head on the mat. Open that heart. Point those toes for fish pose. Exhale. Begin to straighten out those elbows. Release those arms. Bring some distance between the legs. Let the feet flap out. Arms out a bit from either side. Palms up. Quiet body. Quiet mind. Surrendering here to our final relaxation, Shavasana. Realizing that this part of our practice is the most important. Once all the movement is finished, resting, if for even just a few breaths, to allow the mind, the body, and the spirit to process everything you've just done. fingertips and toes. And then stretching out through those fingertips and toes. Hugging those knees into your chest and then bringing soles of feet together, palms together, rubbing those to create some friction and grounding. A few more of those rock and rolls on the length of the spine. A little self-massage there. And finding our way back to that easy pose. Inhaling those arms up and overhead. Exhaling palms to heart center. Namaste and peace, yogis.